Dear student, in the part 1 lecture of DNA replication, related to DNA replication, uh, there we have seen fundamental rules of DNA replication, that how DNA replication is semi-conservative. It starts at the origin of replication, and it is always happens from 5' end to 3' end, and it is semi-discontinuous process. Similarly, we have also acquainted ourselves with some basic terminology like uh, uh, leading strand, lagging strand, Okazaki fragments, replication fork, etc. We have also seen the mechanism of DNA polymerase, and we have also gone through the basic requirement of DNA polymerase. Now, let us begin with the stages of DNA replication. And just to remind you, this presentation or this lecture covers the DNA replication in prokaryote. So, the stages of DNA replication in prokaryotes are basically three, that is initiation, elongation, and termination. Now, let us see each stage in detail. So this is the first stage in DNA replication, that is initiation. So if since we are seeing the prokaryotic DNA replication, you can see down over here, which is a circular chromosome, circular DNA. As per the fundamental rules, in the initiation, it is going to start at one specific point, that is at the origin of replication. So this is a circular DNA. In this circular DNA, the replication will begin at one particular point, that is origin of replication. So let us suppose this is a small part of this circular DNA which consists of origin of replication. So if this part is magnified further, this can be the sequence. This is the sequence of this origin of replication. So we need not go into the details of what is exactly the sequence of this what is exactly the sequence over here, but I would just like to highlight that the yellow portion actually consists of are actually called as DUE, that is DNA unwinding element. So this is DNA unwinding element, and this blue portion is which is besides the DNA unwinding element is the binding site for the DNA A protein. So in the initiation stage, there are three main proteins, that is DNA A protein, DNA B protein, and DNA C protein. So if you see the steps, the DNA A protein go and binds to these blue sites, and because of this binding, they exerts the force on the DUE region, and this DUE region unwinds, it opens up, and there is a formation of single strands from the double strands, because there is the origin of replication, the DNA unwinding unit has opened up. Now once it is open, it is important that this should not recombine. These two strands should not recombine. So DNA C protein immediately loads the DNA B protein, that is helicase enzyme. DNA B is nothing but the helicase enzyme on the both the strands which are separated. So what is the job of DNAC? So basically, with the help of a ATP, it loads the DNAB on both the strands of the enzyme, or the both the strands of the DNA. So in a summary, at the origin of replication, DNA A protein binds near the DUE region and opens up the DUE region, separating the two strands of the DNA. DNA C protein loads the helicase onto the two strands of the DNA. job of the helicase is further unwinding the DNA. This helicase will unwind the DNA this side, and this helicase will unwind the DNA on this side. If you look carefully, and if you have gone through the part 1 of the DNA replication, this is one replication fork and this is another replication fork. In the next slide, you can see we have highlighted one part of this replication fork. So we are looking at one replication fork. So this is a helicase which is loaded on the one of the strand, and there is another helicase which will be somewhere here. After loading of helicase, another proteins known as SSB protein, that is single strand stabilizing protein. Single strand stabilizing protein. They are loaded on separated single strand for stabilizing the separated strand, so that the two strands of the DNA which are separated, they should not again combine with each other, because there are nitrogenous bases. They have a tendency to form a hydrogen bonding. To avoid that, these SSB protein are loaded so that these strands remain stable, and they should not undergo they should not recombine together. So right now, in the initiation phase, the DOE region is unwounded, helicase is loaded by DNAC, and SSB protein are stabilizing the single strand. Then you can see over here the DNA topoisomerase 2. The enzyme is also known as DNA gyrase, is also loaded on the DNA strand, so that it will be able to release the strain caused on the DNA strand because of the supercoiling of the DNA due to the movement of helicase. Now, what do you mean by this? Now this diagram is little bit misleading, because you can see these strands are looking parallel over here. The more accurate diagram of this is over here. So if you see, these strands are not like this. These are basically wounded strands. The DNA over here is wounded. So when helicase is trying to unwind the DNA strands, so these strands are actually experiencing the pressure because of the movement of helicase, and this pressure, because of the unwinding by helicase, these positive pressure created on the DNA, because this is a circular DNA and there is no opening further, so there is a possibility of creating knots further. Now whatever I am saying is explained very nicely in the video which is given to you in the attachment. The name of the video is topoisomerase 1 and topoisomerase 2. I would suggest you for a couple of a minute you pause this presentation and see that video, that what I am explaining right now, and then you can come back to the presentation and continue from here. So basically, whatever the pressure is created over here, this pressure is released by topoisomerase 2, that is DNA gyrase 2. DNA gyrase. Now this topoisomerase 2 is belong to the family of topoisomerase 1, which breaks the single strand of a DNA, uncoil the DNA and rejoins it. Whereas topoisomerase 4 belongs to the class of topoisomerase 2, which breaks both the strands of a DNA, and then it can remove the tangling of the DNA, and that is useful in termination phase of the DNA replication. Anyways, we can discuss the topo 4 later. Right now, you can just remember that DNA topoisomerase 2 is removing the strain, or it is releasing the supercoiling caused because of the DNA B or a helicase unwinding, and that is why DNA gyrase is helping the unwinding of the DNA. Then DNA primase is also loaded in the initiation phase so that it will synthesize the RNA primer, which is required for DNA polymerase to add the nucleotide. So with this, the initiation phase is done. Whatever is required for initiation of a DNA replication is done. Now, in the elongation phase, the actual DNA synthesis begin. Now, in the elongation phase, the primer which has been synthesized by DNA primase on both the strand, that is leading strand as well as lagging strand, the primer is elongated by DNA polymerase 3, and the leading strand is synthesized from 5' to 3' direction continuously, whereas lagging strand is synthesized in discontinuous fashion in the form of Okazaki fragment. Once the leading and lagging strand are synthesized completely, after that the primer, which is nothing but an RNA, needs to be removed, because you all know RNA and DNA, the sugar is different. So the primer cannot be a part of the DNA. So RNA primer must be removed. This job is done by DNA polymerase 1. So DNA polymerase 1 removes the primer, and the empty part after removal of the primer is filled up by the DNA polymerase 1 by the addition of nucleotide. Then the Okazaki fragments are joined together. The gap is joined or filled by the DNA ligase with the help of energy. So with the help of DNA polymerase 1 and the DNA ligase, the strand is completed. This is the process of elongation. Whatever we have discussed till now is happening from origin of replication to the both the side, that is clockwise as well as counterclockwise. That is, replication fork is moving to anticlockwise as well as clockwise. Now, since the DNA is synthesized both clockwise and anti-clockwise, in the termination phase, as the replication fork is moving in both the direction, when it encounters the particular sequence on the chromosome, which is called as termination sequence, which is called as TER, termination sequence, that sequence is made up for arresting the replication fork. The moment the replication fork reaches the termination sequence, it stops replication, and then the TUS protein, that TUS protein, comes and binds over here. So there is a formation of TER-TUS complex. So once the TER-TUS complex is formed, the replication is halted for a movement. If you see over here, the replication has happened from both the side, but at the center, if you can see this box, at the center, this much part is remaining to be replicated. This is a magnified image of the same part. The above part is replicated. Only this much center is remaining to be replicated, because replication fork is arrested by the TER-TUS complex. Now, this part is replicated without undergoing unwinding of DNA by helicase. So, this entire portion, last remaining portion of the circular DNA, undergo replication without undergoing unwinding. So whatever is DNA synthesized or whatever DNA replicated over here, it is actually present in a entangled form. So it is replicated, but the DNA which is present, it is in entangled form, which is called as catenated chromosomes. Now these catenated chromosomes are separated by DNA topoisomerase 4. If you have seen the video carefully, the DNA topoisomerase 4 belong to the class of DNA topoisomerase 2 family, which can give a cut to both the strands of the DNA and remove the tangling of the DNA, and it can separate the tangled chromosome. So in this way, the termination process is completed and the two circular DNA are formed. So you see the entire process of DNA replication. So this is initiation, then elongation, and this is the termination of replication, where this is a catenates, and these catenates are separated by the topoisomerase 4. So this is an entire process of DNA replication. Now, uh, 1, 2 are not there for examination, but useful for understanding, and you can see the video of DNA replication. I am sure you will really enjoy it, looking at the mechanism, how the DNA polymerase actually works and synthesize the new DNA. So let us go towards the last part of the presentation, that is proofreading. Now all of you know that synthesizing DNA or forming a new DNA itself is a very significant activity for the cell, because DNA itself is carrying a genetic code for almost all the protein of the cell. So if there is any mistake while replication, then the product of that gene or product of that DNA, that is the protein, either will not be synthesized, or if synthesized, it may not work or function the way it is supposed to be function. So it is at most important that whatever the DNA synthesis is happening, that has to happen absolutely accurate. Mistakes are not allowed. So mistake is only made once for every 10 raised to 9 to 10 raised to 10 nucleotide added. So you can see the DNA replication happens with extraordinary accuracy. Now how this accuracy is achieved? So basically there are four main reasons for this accuracy. First reason is obviously the Watson and Crick model has already explained that the DNA replication, the DNA polymerase ensures that whatever the nucleotide are added, they are based on the base pairing, that is hydrogen bonding. That is, A will only attach to the T and G will only attach to the C, and that is the reference is taken itself from the template strand. So there is no chance of going wrong. Secondly, the geometry of these base pairs matches, that A ka geometry matches with the T and G ka geometry only matches with the C. So again, the geometry of the standard base pairs also ensures that there will not be any mistake. Third, and one of the most important property, lies with many of the polymerase, not with only DNA polymerase 1, proofreading activity. The many of the polymerase have proofreading activity. What do you mean by proofreading activity? In a literal term, proofreading means cross-checking. Cross-checking means the enzyme itself have, in the enzyme there are some units which actually cross-check that whatever nucleotides are added, whether they are correct or whether they are wrong. And if wrong, few enzymes have an ability to correct it. That is called as proofreading activity. And after the proofreading also, if the mistake remains by chance, then there is a mechanism of DNA repair. We cannot go into the details of DNA repair. It itself is a big chapter. We do not have that much in syllabus. But still, for your information, these are the four mechanisms by which cell ensures or body ensures that the DNA replication happens with extraordinary accuracy. Now, just for an example, I will explain you that how exactly the polymerase uh, perform the proofreading. So if you see this, this is an example of a DNA polymerase 1. So DNA polymerase 1, the enzyme itself have a two subunit. The blue subunit is for DNA polymerase activity, that is addition of nucleotide activity, and the subunit 2 is doing the job of proofreading. So if you see, when the template is passing through the enzyme, then the polymerase part is doing the job of putting the nucleotide according to the base pairing. And then the uh, same thing is passing through the second subunit, and while passing through the second subunit, it is checking whether the nucleotide added is correct or wrong. So you can see over here the example. You can see here it has added it goes like this: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So you can see over here the nucleotide added is C, but this nucleotide has a tautomeric form, and this C has converted it into the tautomeric form and changed its structure. So now it is no more matched with the A. So as it moves on, the another subunit, which is a proofreading subunit of the DNA polymerase, have identified this: there is something wrong. This nucleotide is not matching with the template strand. So immediately this mistake is caught by the DNA polymerase enzyme, the second subunit, which is called as exonuclease active site. And this nucleotide, which is not matching, is being removed. The mispaired nucleotide is being removed by the exonuclease active site, and then the DNA polymerase again slides and it reattaches the new nucleotide, which actually match with the nucleotide which is present on the template strand. So this is an example how the proofreading activity is done. So every single nucleotide has to pass through the checking. If correct, then only it will be passed ahead. If wrong, it will be removed and it will be replaced with the correct nucleotide. This is how the body works wonderfully, maintaining accuracy in DNA replication. I hope you understood whatever is done till now. So now in a summary, if you understood the entire process of DNA replication in prokaryotes till now, so these are the list of the enzymes which are used in the process of DNA replication in prokaryotes. Without looking to the right side, you should be able to tell what is the function of these enzymes. So let us revise. SSB, it stands for single stranded binding protein. So single stranded binding protein, these are the proteins which binds to the separated strand of the DNA, and they stabilize the separated strand of a DNA after unwinding, and they do not allow the single strand to recombine. Then DNA B protein, that is helicase. The job of helicase to unwind the DNA. Primase, that is DNA G, has a responsibility of synthesizing primer. DNA polymerase 3, it is the primary enzyme of DNA replication in prokaryote. So it elongate the new strand by addition of nucleotide. DNA polymerase 1, its job is to remove the primer and fill the gap of a primer by addition of nucleotide. DNA ligase, its job is to link the Okazaki fragment by ligation. And DNA gyrase, that is DNA topoisomerase 2, its job is to relieve the strain caused by supercoiling because of the unwinding of DNA by helicase. You can also add one more over here, that is topoisomerase 4. The function of the topoisomerase 4 is separation of catenates. So with this, we have finished with the DNA replication in prokaryotes. So I request you to go through the book. You can go through the Leninger if you want to see the diagrams and see the details of the presentation, and then you can prepare a short answer on DNA replication in prokaryotes by looking into the Satyanarayan, because that will be useful for your examination. And in the next presentation, that is part 3, we will see the DNA replication in eukaryotes. Thank you very much.